The traditional commercial real estate market is cooling off, but look at AI infrastructure. Capital is moving the exact opposite direction. Average monthly data center starts jumped from $500 million in mid-2021 to $6.5 billion by late 2025, pushing yearly totals to $77.7 billion. That's a 190% increase, leaving traditional sectors behind. The driving force here is the massive multi-building campuses funded by hyperscalers like OpenAI, Amazon, and Microsoft. On paper, this looks like a guaranteed revenue lifeline for the construction industry, but actually capturing those dollars is highly restrictive for the average builder. Small and mid-sized general contractors simply cannot compete with mega builders for the primary server hall structures. The interior hardware is too proprietary, and the scale is too large. The realistic alternative is the secondary picks and shovels work. This includes building the access roads, preparing the site, and constructing the massive electrical substations outside the main buildings. This line graph tracks a major disruption in that secondary market. In the first quarter of 2026 alone, 75 massive data center projects were stalled or halted completely. These sudden project halts are primarily driven by two things: aggressive community pushback at the local level and severe constraints on the regional power grid. This creates a difficult choice for mid-sized contractors. You have to decide if the massive capital required to modernize your safety and legal frameworks is actually worth the risk of bidding on these lucrative yet volatile secondary projects. To evaluate the ROI, we first need to define the exact targets of a picks and shovel strategy, targeting electrical grid expansion, heavy civil access roads, and local facility retrofits. Targeting this tangential infrastructure allows a GC to enter the AI supply chain and capture revenue without needing any specific hyperscale computing expertise. This visual breakdown shows the financial upside. By targeting the exterior build-out, you tap directly into a forecasted $27.8 billion power infrastructure spend expected in 2026. However, the primary operational trade-off is total exposure. Secondary contractors are entirely vulnerable to the primary project's timeline. For example, if local zoning disputes halt the construction of the main server hall, the tangential civil road contract you hold stalls immediately alongside it. Capturing this revenue means you must accept complete operational dependency on the hyperscaler's ability to navigate local politics. If you accept that operational risk, you next have to face the strictest barrier to entry in the market: hyperscaler safety compliance and pre-qualification. Tier 1 clients like Microsoft, Amazon, and OpenAI enforce zero-tolerance pre-qualification hurdles. They demand mandatory digital audit trails, multi-language digital orientations, and daily pre-task plans that their safety teams can access on demand. This is a stark contrast to the legacy systems of many mid-sized firms, which still rely on physical clipboards, printed spreadsheets, and handshake safety cultures. Upgrading to meet the hyperscaler standard requires significant upfront software licensing fees and forces a painful, highly supervised cultural shift for your veteran field crews. Without a fully funded, top-down digital safety overhaul, a mid-sized GC won't even make it past the pre-qualification stage to see a bid package. The final and arguably most critical barrier to survival is managing the contractual risk of inevitable months-long project delays. When a massive data center project pauses because of a utility interconnection delay, the overhead costs for idle equipment and sidelined crews can bankrupt an unprepared contractor. This text comparison illustrates the legal necessity. To survive, you have to hire specialized construction counsel to negotiate aggressive suspension rights and escalation provisions. Robust, extended overhead recovery clauses are the only way to protect your cash flow when your labor crews must suddenly be reassigned to other jobs. The trade-off here is straightforward. Overhauling your contracts drastically increases your pre-construction overhead and your initial legal fees. There is also a competitive risk. Sophisticated firms might lose early bids to risk-blind competitors who are willing to sign terrible, owner-friendly terms just to win the job. But investing in bulletproof contracts is not optional. It is the only viable defense against the unpredictable 3 to 6 month project pauses that are common in the AI sector. The data center market is a highly regulated institutional environment. It is not a blind gold rush where anyone with heavy equipment can get rich overnight. This decision matrix diagnoses if the ROI justifies the pivot. Bottom left,
Traditional GCs with thin margins, paper management, and boilerplate contracts face a high financial hazard. Top right, specialized firms using digital management, low EMRs, and cash reserves to weather pauses represent the target entry zone. Only firms already operating near this institutional-grade level of sophistication will see a positive ROI from making the jump into data center construction. If your firm currently falls into the hazard zone, the directive is simple: avoid hyperscaler red tape. Stick to your core commercial competencies, secure reliable margins, and keep crews moving while competitors get bogged down in zoning halts. On the other hand, if you are a specialized firm sitting in the target zone, your action plan requires immediate prep. You need to audit your digital safety tools right now and retain specialized construction counsel to prepare your contract language for upcoming bids. Executing this compliance pivot elevates your business. It transitions you from a commodity commercial builder into an elite infrastructure partner. Ultimately, profitability in the AI sector relies on a firm's legal and operational resilience. Success requires matching your internal infrastructure to the extreme volatility of this market.